Hi, and welcome back to the Bearded Historian. Last we left off, a team of German archaeologists had just moved to secure the area around the Harzhorn and set the foundation for an excavation unlike anything Germany had seen before. The hunt for clues had begun. Excavations and the use of metal detectors were quick to reveal the true extent of this discovery. Hundreds of initial finds were made and numbers soon rose into the thousands, painting a picture of a large-scale military engagement quite unlike anything the archaeologists were expecting. It was a true stroke of luck, indeed any archaeologist's dream, one might say. The chemical composition of the local soil were of such a nature that the metal items survived the centuries well preserved, and the unsuitability of the hilltop for any agricultural development had furthermore allowed them to remain undisturbed and undetected for close to 2,000 years. In fact, many of the items were found in situ, meaning archaeologists were discovering them in the exact spots where they were left during the original battle. Researchers and the public alike were astonished. Soon, specialists of all fields, including battlefield archaeology, were involved and working around the clock to solve a puzzle unlike anything they had worked on before. Thereafter, many a theory was voiced. Some claimed this had to point at a military engagement under Emperor Augustus in the early days of the Roman Empire, while others said this could have very well been the battle between different Germanic tribes using Romanized equipment, something that wasn't uncommon in the 3rd century AD. Yet, as the findings were neatly analyzed, catalogued, and put into context, it soon became apparent that the actual events were nothing like any of those theories. With the help of carbon dating and coins found at the site, the time frame of the battle was soon narrowed down to a small window between 228 AD and 240 AD, resulting in the currently predominant theory that the event occurred late in the year 235, with Maximinus Thrax ruling the Roman Empire. Now, this didn't necessarily rule out the possibility that the battle had simply occurred between different Romanized Germanic tribes, but the findings soon eliminated this possibility as well. Roman battle equipment, primarily the projectile points of bolt throwers, also known as Scorpios at the time, made it quite evident that this battle was fought between regular Roman troops and the tribes of the area. Hundreds of iron hobnails, used by Roman legionnaires to improve the traction of their leather sandals, further supported this theory and even allowed the partial tracking of troop movements during the battle itself. As a logical next step, the research team soon attempted to reconstruct the events in more detail and came up with a surprisingly detailed description of what happened on the Harzhorn in late 235 AD. One key component in this effort were the bolts or projectiles of the Roman Scorpios. Many of them were found in the exact position where they had hit the ground during the battle, allowing for an impressive reconstruction of the shifting developments during the engagement, as both the Roman artillery and the host of Germanic warriors were moving positions during the battle. So, without further ado, let's look at the events as they are currently believed to have happened. Our Roman marching column of about 1 to 9,000 soldiers was returning from the campaign into Germania bearing Thaus, heading straight for the safety of the nearby provinces. Their route led them towards a natural bottleneck, a small passageway with the Harzhorn hilltop rising to its west, while the east was covered in large areas of impassable swampland. It was this very geography that local tribes wanted to use in their favor, blocking the Roman safe passage home. While no evidence of any barricade or wall has been found as of yet, it is more than likely that the Romans found their way blocked by a host of prepared Germanic warriors. Evidence suggests that a first skirmish was fought in this very position, resulting in a preliminary retreat of the tribesmen. They had gotten their nose bloodied, but were far from giving up yet. And even though the way may have been cleared of enemies for now, the Romans couldn't simply march on. There was still a substantial group of warriors in their flank, threatening their every movement. The enemy had to be dealt with, and so the Romans split their troops, encircling their opponents from both sides of the Harzhorn. As the Germanic warriors reached the temporary safety of the hilltop and started regrouping, Roman units quickly went to prepare their artillery and archers for a deadly first barrage. Their ranged weaponry was much more advanced and also must have outnumbered whatever bows and arrows the tribal warriors had brought with them. So the exchange was an uneven one from the beginning and wreaking havoc within the German ranks. It is in fact one of the working theories that this very heavy fire of the Roman artillery drove the Germanic warriors into a downhill offensive, rushing the Roman positions. However, their attack was doomed from the start, with heavy fire breaking up their ranks as they rushed forward. The Roman infantry line was able to secure the victory once the bloody melee started. Soon after, the Romans started pushing the enemies back up the hilltop, just as a final cavalry charge delivered a deadly blow to the enemy's flank and secured the victory. All opposition started to melt away, and the tribal warriors went into a general retreat. Discipline and technology had won the day once more, but rather than gathering their wounded and picking up any lost equipment that could potentially fall into Germanic hands, the Romans seemed to have been in a rush to leave the area. They immediately continued their march over the Harzhorn, heading straight for the safety of the secured borders. This leaves much room for speculation, but clearly shows that the Romans didn't feel their victory had rid them of the Germanic threat altogether. They were still in hostile territory after all, and if it hadn't been clear to them until now, they had learned today that the tribes of the area were out to get them. Which leads us to our conclusion. The discovery of the battlefield at the Harzhorn was a spectacular one for the public, and it was crucially important for modern historical research as well. The astounding story it has to tell shed light on events that were long thought improbable, if not impossible, by historians, and showed us that even in the 3rd century AD, Rome was still capable and willing to commit considerable forces to far-flung expeditions beyond its own borders. What the written sources had long told us already, but we found so very hard to believe, has now, in the most spectacular fashion, been proven right once and for all. And this is the true contribution of Rome's forgotten battle to historical research. It is what it should and will be remembered for. Now the excavations as well as the research into the topic will of course continue for the foreseeable future, and I would expect even more theories and findings to surface as time progresses. So if this is something you're interested in, I can only encourage you to follow the development very closely, and I would expect media coverage to be there along the way as well. And this is where I'll leave it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, look forward to your thoughts and feedback in the comment section.